The day began like any other, with the sun rising quietly over the endless fields of the Midwest. The air was cool and still, and the only sounds were the distant calls of birds and the gentle rustle of leaves. It was a morning that promised nothing out of the ordinary. Just another day of hard work and routine on the farm. But by mid-afternoon, everything changed. The sky shifted to an eerie, sickly green, a color that seemed unnatural and unsettling. It crept across the horizon, casting an otherworldly glow over the land, and everyone who saw it felt a chill run down their spine. The air grew heavy and oppressive, thick with humidity. The cornfields, lush and tall, stood nearly ready for harvest, their leaves sticky to the touch. Every step through the rows felt slower, as if the world itself was holding its breath, waiting for something to happen. Suddenly, without warning, the wind exploded. It wasn't a gradual buildup, but a sudden violent wall of force that slammed into the farmhouse, rattling the very foundation. Windows rattled in their frames, the roar outside was deafening, and visibility vanished behind a blur of flying debris and sheets of rain. The world outside the glass disappeared, replaced by chaos and noise. Then the power snapped off, plunging the house into darkness. Only the strange green light filtered through the windows, casting surreal shadows and making the familiar rooms feel alien and unsafe. The old oak in the yard, a family landmark for generations, twisted and shattered in the gale. Its massive branches battered the house, breaking windows and tearing at the roof, as if the storm was determined to erase every trace of normalcy. There was nothing to do but huddle in the basement, clutching each other and listening to the chaos above. Every crash and howl made hearts race, and time seemed to stretch endlessly as they waited for the storm to pass. The storm raged for an hour, relentless and terrifying, as if it would never end. The wind screamed, rain hammered the earth, and the world outside was lost to the fury of nature. When it finally passed, the sudden silence felt just as unnatural as the storm itself. The world seemed to hold its breath, stunned by what had just happened. Outside, the world was wrecked. The old oak was gone, the barn's roof peeled away and scattered across the yard, and debris littered every inch of ground. But the worst was the corn, flattened, broken, every stalk pointing the same way, as if a giant hand had swept across the field in a single, merciless motion. A year's work, months of hope and effort, destroyed in just 60 minutes. The loss was almost too much to comprehend. This wasn't a tornado, it was something else. A derecho, a word that was unfamiliar to most, but would soon be burned into memory. A storm with a name few had heard before, but one that no one in its path would ever forget. It was a new kind of disaster, one that left people searching for answers. The landscape was unrecognizable, the loss total. What had been familiar and comforting was now strange and broken. The derecho had left a scar across the heartland, a visible reminder of nature's unpredictable power. For the family, and for the farm, everything had changed in a single afternoon. The future felt uncertain, and the past seemed impossibly distant. The green sky was a warning, nature's power, unleashed and unstoppable, a reminder that some things are beyond human control. The only thing left was to pick up the pieces, to begin the slow process of rebuilding, and to lean on neighbors and community for support. And as they looked to the sky, they couldn't help but wonder if it would happen again and what the next storm might bring. Most people hear about 120-mile-per-hour winds and immediately think of a tornado, picturing a twisting funnel tearing through the countryside. But a derecho is something entirely different, and often even more widespread in its impact. The word derecho comes from Spanish meaning straight ahead, and that's exactly how its winds move. No spiraling, just a relentless direct assault that can catch people off guard. Imagine a massive line of thunderstorms stretching for hundreds of miles across the landscape, all pushing a powerful wall of wind in front of them. For a storm to be classified as a derecho, the damage must extend over at least 240 miles, with wind gusts topping 58 miles per hour, and several locations experiencing gusts of 75 miles per hour or more. It's like dumping a massive bucket of cold air from the sky. When that air slams into the ground, it spreads out rapidly and with incredible force, flattening everything in its path. This creates a wide front of destruction, sometimes as wide as an entire state. leaving a trail of chaos that can be seen from miles away. Unlike a tornado's narrow, twisting path, a derecho flattens everything in its way. Fields, power lines, homes, and entire communities can be affected at once. It's a brute force attack, not a surgical strike, and it doesn't discriminate. Anything in its path is at risk. While a tornado might devastate a single neighborhood or town, a derecho can cripple an entire region, leaving millions without power and causing widespread destruction. The scars it leaves behind are broad, unmistakable, and devastating, often taking months or even years for communities to recover. That's what makes a derecho so dangerous: its sheer scale, speed, and the lasting impact it has on everything in its path. For Midwest farmers, a derecho is a nightmare. Corn stands tall and heavy, perfect for catching the wind, but not for surviving it. When a derecho hits, it's like a green tsunami. Stalks snap, roots rip out, and fields flatten in minutes. If the storm comes late in the season, the damage is total. Harvesters can't pick up corn that's lying flat. The 2020 derecho in Iowa destroyed 14 million acres of crops, nearly half the state's corn. Farmers lost a year's income in a single afternoon. The aftermath isn't just ruined crops, it's mold, disease, and financial ruin that can last for years. Many farmers operate on thin margins. One storm can end a family's legacy. A derecho doesn't just break plants, it breaks spirits. The heartland's backbone is tested every time the wind blows. Recovery is slow and the scars run deep. For many, it's a loss that's hard to come back from. The green tsunami leaves nothing untouched. One storm is bad enough, but now we're seeing serial derecho outbreaks. Multiple storms in quick succession. The atmosphere locks into a pattern and the same region gets hit again and again. Power crews barely finish repairs before the next storm undoes their work. For farmers, it's a 1-2 punch. What survives the first storm is finished by the second. The cycle is exhausting, expensive, and demoralizing. Scientists are studying if these outbreaks are becoming more common as the climate warms. Early signs point to yes. Hotter, wetter summers mean more fuel for these storms. Serial derechos could become a new normal for the Midwest. The era of the single freak storm may be over. Why are derechos getting worse? It comes down to heat and moisture. More of both means more energy for storms. As the planet warms, the Midwest becomes a powder keg. Hot, humid air at the surface, capped by drier air above. When that cap breaks, storms explode with force. The jet stream, altered by climate change, can get stuck, keeping storm-friendly conditions in place for days. More fuel, more organization, and more stuck patterns mean more and bigger derechos. Derechos aren't new, but we're making the conditions for the worst ones more likely. Each summer, the dice are loaded for disaster. The wind is only getting stronger. The real destruction comes from the downdraft, a blast of cold, heavy air plunging from the storm. When it hits the ground, it spreads out in a violent rush, creating the straight-line winds that define a derecho. Buildings are battered, roofs ripped off, windows shattered, not by twisting, but by relentless horizontal force. For corn, the downdraft is fatal. Stalks snap, fields flatten, and the sound is a horrifying cracking roar. Power lines and trees fall like dominoes, compounding the chaos. The grid fails, roads are blocked, and recovery is slow. It's a chain reaction. One punch from the sky, and everything below is left in ruins. The downdraft doesn't discriminate, it destroys whatever's in its path. That's the dirty job of a derecho. The aftermath is a landscape transformed, broken, battered, and changed. The only warning is the wind itself, and by then, it's too late. To truly grasp the impact of these storms, you have to listen to those who lived through them. Their voices carry the weight of loss, resilience, and hope, echoing across the flattened fields and shattered towns. Dave, an Iowa farmer, stood in his ruined field and said, "You work all year, then the sky turns green, and it's all gone in an hour. It feels like a death in the family." For Dave and so many others, the storm didn't just take crops, it took a year's worth of dreams and hard work. Experts call derechos land hurricanes, devastating, but with little warning. Unlike tornadoes, these storms sweep across hundreds of miles, leaving destruction in their wake before most people even realize what's coming. In Cedar Rapids, a mother recalled, It sounded like bombs. When we came up, the trees were gone. Our street was unrecognizable. The familiar was suddenly foreign, and the sense of safety was shattered. The loss of old trees hit communities hard. Shade, beauty, and history, all wiped out in minutes. Generations of memories, picnics, and childhood games vanished with the wind. Cleanup is grueling. Chainsaws buzz for weeks. Debris piles up, and recovery drags on. Every day brings new challenges, and the work seems endless. Farmers face ruined crops. Towns face mountains of splintered wood. The economic toll is staggering, and the emotional burden even heavier. Tornadoes get headlines, but derechos leave a wider, messier scar, one that stretches for miles and takes months, even years, to heal. The grind of recovery tests every community. Neighbors lean on each other, sharing tools, meals, and stories as they rebuild what was lost. It's not just about rebuilding, it's about resilience. Every nail hammered and every wall raised is a testament to the human spirit. Each derecho is a test of spirit and endurance, pushing people to their limits but also bringing out the best in them. The scars linger long after the winds die down. Broken trees and battered homes serve as daily reminders of nature's power. For many, the memory never fades. The sound of the wind and the darkness and the aftermath are etched into their lives. The land and the people are forever changed. They adapt, but the landscape and their hearts bear the marks of the storm. That's the true cost of the wind. A cost measured not just in dollars but in memories, community, and the enduring will to carry on. A derecho's impact ripples far beyond the fields. Corn is everywhere, in food, fuel, and industry. When millions of acres are lost, prices rise for everything from meat to cereal. Local economies suffer. Farmers spend less, businesses struggle, and jobs are lost. Grain bins and silos are often destroyed, forcing farmers to sell quickly at low prices or risk spoilage. The cost to rebuild is staggering, adding to the financial strain. Extreme weather means more volatility in food markets and higher insurance costs. Every link in the supply chain feels the shock. The next time prices jump at the store, it might be the echo of a storm 1,000 miles away. The derecho's reach is long and growing. Derechos aren't going away. They may be getting worse. Take severe thunderstorm warnings seriously. These storms are not routine. Have a plan. Know your safest spot, usually a basement or windowless room. Don't wait for the roar. Move to safety as soon as a warning is issued. Prepare for long outages. Keep flashlights, water, and a weather radio ready. After the storm, beware of downed power lines and unstable trees. Cleanup is slow. Pace yourself and stay safe. Nature's power is humbling, and these storms test our resilience. The heartland's strength is in its people, neighbors helping neighbors, rebuilding together. The wind will blow again. All we can do is prepare, endure, and rebuild. The story of the derecho is the story of survival, and the next chapter is always just over the horizon.